Lou, do you remember this? It was a feature on evening television. I think it was CBS. I may be incorrect. Justin, you wouldn't know this half-hour program each week because you weren't even birthed. But it was called Family Affair. And it featured the butler, Jeeves, the father who was a mogul in industry and construction. And, of course, the two little children, Jody and Buffy. The rich, the wealthy, the privileged. Where was Robin Leach, the lifetimes of the rich and famous? And ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of a woman who was referred to when she was a child as Buffy. Yes, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, big enough to offset the trade balance between the Red Chinese and the United States. At a very young age, she had a butler and a driver, Jeeves, assigned to her in the stretch limo. And she was known to say, when she was coming from a very privileged private school, pass the Grey Poupon. Pass the Grey Poupon. By the way, Jeeves, could you fetch that piece of litter there on Park Avenue right in the median? Now, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the sanitation commissioner of New York City, Jessica Tisch. There are rumors galore that I have quantified, checked, and double-checked with retired police, with active police, that Brian Kilmeade knows about, Sid Rosenberg, Greg Kelly, everybody knows about it. That the mayor of the city of New York, Eric Adams, is planning to replace Keechon Sewell, who leaves as of Friday. That's it. That will be her final day. One Police Plaza will give her a standing ovation, and that's it. She's gone. And he wants to move quickly to put in a woman who, quite frankly, if she is made police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, will break the hearts of every man and woman who serves in the police department, busting their shoes out in the streets, because she has had no police experience in the streets. Originally, she was a wonk. She did analytics for Ray Kelly in the police department and then for Bratton. But she knows nothing at all about day-to-day police work, and she was shielded from anything in the streets because she existed in the suites for many, many years. So earlier today, Sid, who's been rampaging against this, along with me and many others, figured, let's go to Peter King. He's like the last vestiges existing of an Eric Adams Republican, right? Almost everyone else has jumped ship. And Peter King from Long Island couldn't miss the opportunity, once again, to praise Nassau County's police department as if they're the greatest that exists in the world. Not. And listen to what he had to say about a woman who is clearly not qualified to be police commissioner, Jessica Tisch.
Well, first, let me say, I agree with what you said earlier on, that Pat Ryder would be a great choice to be NYPD commissioner.
You were listening.
No doubt
Cool.
about that.
Yeah.
Now, let me just say something about Jessica Tisch. I'm not saying whether she's the perfect person to be commissioner. I worked with her for almost 10 years. She was at the highest levels of the police department. That was no clerical job. She was one of Ray Kelly's top assistants. She was one of the architects of the Amber Protection System in Lower Manhattan, nuclear detection, all of that. She was the highest level. She was a deputy commissioner for technology. And almost every meeting I was at on counterterrorism with Ray Kelly, Jessica Tisch was there. That's when I first met her.
Is that right?
When Bill Bratton came in, he kept her on, and he made her deputy commissioner. So now whether or not she's the perfect choice for commissioner, and the fact is that, as you say, you're going to have Adams and Banks looking over their shoulder. What she had going for her was being a career cop and a great cop, a real cop's cop. So she was able to get more of the support of the rank and file. I think it'd be hard for Jessica to get that because of the way she'd be coming in, knowing that Adams and Banks are out there.
All right. I agree with Peter King on some of that, but he still hasn't just said this is ridiculous. But Peter King, all of a sudden, is beginning to hop off the Eric Adams train. He had his lips hermetically sealed to his tuchus all through my campaign for mayor. all through virtually the first 2 years. And now it seems that Eric Adams, the guy that he has supported for mayor, on many occasions when what Eric Adams said was like indefensible. I got a hint of that this morning with Sid.
I'm like you. I was hoping for Eric Adams to do better. He talks a good game at times, but really he's been so erratic and all over the place. I just hope that Jessica Tisch, whatever happens, her reputation is in ruin because she is a class act.
So here it is. You know the city is serious about this. Adams is serious about this. Because, notice, Peter King will not say it's a ridiculous idea. But just the other day, when we were talking about how Eric Adams is consumed with God talk, even Peter King, his number one sycophantodian lackey as a Republican for Eric Adams, had to acknowledge that the mayor is crazy.
I know that you sent me some messages over the last couple of months. You knew my relationship with Eric Adams, which is not as good as it used to be be completely honest. But I know you guys have also forged a friendship of sorts. When he said on Sunday on Father's Day that God told him he'd be mayor, friend or not, did you think he was crazy?
Yes. At that time, yes, I did. I really did.
All right, Peter King, you're finally coming around to your senses, okay? And then little birdie called me early on, Lou, because I have so many rats in City Hall now, two-legged rats, who are ready to jump ship. I mean, a lot of people are jumping ship of the good ship Eric Adams. I mean, they're looking for other locations, and they're looking for outlets and people to talk to. And everybody knows I'm the biggest rat in all of New York City, two-legged rat. I eat the Parmesan cheese. So they said today, this is the plan, so that you know it, Lou and Justin and everybody else. They're trying to rush this appointment to almost replace Keyshawn Sewell, who leaves on Friday officially, and immediately move in Jessica Tisch this weekend, the 4-day weekend, figuring they could withstand the pressure. People are not going to be paying attention to Tisch being the new police commissioner in the news cycle. So today was audition day. And all of a sudden coming out into the rotunda at City Hall was first Mayor Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, mayor of the illegal aliens. By the way, hey, husband-in-law, David Patterson, I know you can't see, but your friend Eric Adams has just put in a shelter for illegal aliens, 500 families right across the street from where you live, where my oldest son is being raised by you, Anthony, with his mother. I want to hear you comment on that when you're on board with John and Rita Cosby on the 5. You've been so supportive of Eric Adams, but I digress. So there was the mayor, resplendent in a new $5,000 customized suit, not off the rack. Then you had Jessica Tisch, the sanitation commissioner, talking about the next step in the war on rats. And side by side, the very first time I've ever saw this, because normally there's an army of sycophants, toadies, and lackeys behind the mayor whenever he does a press conference, an army. They look like zombies. They all stare in the camera. Almost nobody is ever asked to talk. It's like to show you that they're rolling strong. His sister ordained by God. According to the New York Times, this woman who has such undue influence on the mayor, she is a version of a female Rasputin as Svengali. Ingrid P. Lewis Martin has no assigned position, has total access into any agency, any commissioner, and was side by side, and they were giving an audition to Jessica Tisch. They were staring at her. I was watching this because there's a stream. And it's clear that they were seeing how Jessica Tisch might look as a police commissioner handling street issues. So there was one in particular where a reporter asked about how some bodegas, Yemenite, that's who does this, Yemenite bodegas will have multiple bodegas, each one of them under a different LLC. Listen to the question, And listen to Jessica Tish's response.
So I wanted to ask about how chains are defined, like a chain of 5. So if there's, say, like a grocery store that has that's like a franchise, or a bodega owner who maybe owns 6 different bodegas, but they're under different LLCs. Do they count as chains? Like how do you define it? And
Mike, we can point you to the provision in the administrative code which defines chain stores. But like if you think of an example, like a franchise business, like a Dunkin' Donuts, there are obviously more than 5 Dunkin' Donuts in the city. Although they may be run by different franchisees, they would qualify as a chain store and be required to follow these rules.
So the mayor, Eric Adams, was in a cone of silence, staring straight ahead, very pensively. But staring immediately at this Jessica Tisch that the Adams administration wants as their police commissioner to replace the outgoing Keyshawn Sliwa. Last day is Friday, was Ingrid P. Lewis Martin, staring at her to see how she answered the question. This particular question, she had a smirk on her face because she didn't like the question. It's clear. You really have to have street smarts to understand how the Yemenite bodega owners can own 6 bodegas in the same neighborhood, all of them under a separate LLC. They're very astute, and then they negotiate with the landlords to take up any empty mom-and-pop retail space, and they put in these illegal pop-up weed stores. And, again, it's hidden behind an LLC. It's cash and carry. So she was flustered by that. But then a reporter came up right towards the end and said, is there anything you're looking for in a future police commissioner to the mayor?
Mr. Mayor, the sort of thing you're looking for in a future police commissioner?
I love the creativity in attempting to find a way to get a response. I have a police commissioner right now, and after that commissioner leaves, then we will talk about what the future holds. But right now I have a commissioner, and I like her a lot. Thank you.
And Jessica Tisch was to his right, and as she has self-proclaimed herself to be, his sister ordained by God, Ingrid P. Lewis Martin, was to her left. And then they very politely left, and the press conference was over. It is clear that this was an audition to see how Jessica Tisch would look, in handling some tough questions. I would say some of them were tough, but they were all street issues. She's a wonk. She knows how to do analytics. Reminds me of Dermot Shea, who was chosen at the end to be the police commissioner, the lapdog for Bill de Blasio, if you remember. Yes, boss, whatever you say. You want to take $1 billion out of the budget, the police budget? Yes, boss. My job is to do analytics. The reason he became police commissioner is that he knew how to work the ComStat figures for deputy inspectors at each and every precinct to make them look better, to fudge the numbers. So all the deputy inspectors loved him out there because he ended up making them look good. He could cook the books. But he was a lousy street cop. He never came out of the Eagle's Nest in one police plaza. And so they're trying to shove Jessica Tisch into this role as our police commissioner as Keyshawn Sliwa leaves on Friday. They'll announce her. This is the plan. Unless all of a sudden the pressure is so intense and the tryout today, the audition, didn't turn out to the likings of Mayor Eric Adams and, more importantly, Ingrid P. Lewis Martin, with the understanding that Eric Adams and Phil Banks, his deputy mayor of public safety, said originally when Keyshawn Sliwa accepted the pact with the devil like damn Yankees, yes, I know I'll be a subordinate to Phil Banks. He's the real police commissioner. I'll just play the role. In fact, one of the candidates, former police commissioner Best of Seattle, actually, when she rejected their offer, said, look, I wasn't going to play second fiddle to Phil Banks. and I wasn't going to operate in a police department where Eric Adams was quietly calling all the shots. So this is probably the deal that Jessica Tisch has accepted. Today was the audition.